Have you ever watched someone smile so wide in a moment where nobody should be smiling? It feels strange, almost scary, like your body whispers something is wrong even before your mind understands it. That feeling is exactly what hit me on the day my daughter-in-law looked right at me, with her eyebrows lifted and her voice sugar-sweet, and said, "My family comes first, so you'll always be last." For a second, I thought she was joking. I even gave a tiny, awkward laugh. The kind you let out when your brain is confused and your heart is stinging. She meant every word, and my own daughter just stood there, avoiding my eyes, letting that sentence fall on me like a stone. I felt something inside me sigh and break quietly. Not loud, not dramatic, just a soft little crack, like a tired old branch snapping under too much weight. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I simply said, "Good to know," with a calmness I didn't feel, because sometimes calm is the only shield life gives you in the moment. But deep inside, something was shifting, something I didn't fully understand yet. At that time, I was living alone in a small old apartment, 2 rooms, faded paint, creaky floors, a dull window view of a laundromat sign that flickered at night. Not much light, not much space, but it was all I had after years of sacrifices that I never kept score of. I used to think love didn't need a balance sheet. How naive I was. But life eventually teaches you that when you keep giving without limits, someone is always ready to take without limits too. My daughter used to visit me, but slowly her calls became shorter, her tone colder, like every ring from me was some heavy favor she didn't want to carry. Sigh. I tried to pretend I didn't notice. A mother always tries to pretend. But everything changed the day she stopped inviting me to see my grandkids. 2 weeks passed, then 3. My phone stayed silent, like it had forgotten how to ring. When I finally called to ask if I could see them, her voice came flat and annoyed. "We have family plans." Family. That one word hit me harder than anything else. Family that didn't include me. Family, where I had become an old piece of furniture that nobody needed. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the wall, remembering all the years I carried them. The times I cooked for them, cleaned for them, stayed up late rocking babies to sleep while everyone else rested. The wedding I paid for, the house deposit I gave them, the endless support, the endless yeses, the endless giving. Ha ha ha, life is funny, isn't it? You give pieces of your soul thinking love will return someday, only to discover you were watering a plant with plastic leaves. But here's the real twist, and it still sends a small trembling feeling through me when I remember it. That was not the day my heart truly broke. No. The real break was still coming, a much bigger storm, a much colder truth. I had no idea that the moment I stepped away quietly, the moment I stopped showing up with warm food and warm hands, they began to panic, not because they missed me, but because they needed me for something else, something selfish, something dark. I didn't know then that my late husband's past, his business legacy, his old investments, the money I never paid attention to, would suddenly become very important to them. Would. I didn't know they had been discussing things behind my back, whispering about preparing paperwork, organizing documents, ensuring the future. I didn't know they were already looking at me like a gate they needed to unlock. Oh, if only I had known. But sometimes life protects us by hiding the truth until we're strong enough to face it. Weeks passed quietly. I stopped checking if they needed help. I started cooking only for myself, reading old books, watching sunsets through my dusty window. For the first time in years, I wasn't running behind anyone. The silence felt strange at first, a little heavy, but slowly it began to feel like peace, real peace. Then one afternoon, the kind of afternoon where nothing special is supposed to happen, my phone rang. My daughter's name flashed on the screen. After so long, my heart gave a tiny hopeful jump. Oh, like a little child still waiting to be loved. I answered softly, almost whispering, "Hello," and her voice came bright, too bright. "Mom, hi. We've missed you so much." Something about that tone felt wrong. You know that feeling? When someone sounds like they're smiling too hard? I felt a chill. A small trembling breath left my lips. Why now? Why suddenly? She said they wanted to invite me to a special family moment. She said the kids missed me. She said they wanted to reconnect. Sigh. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Sigh. I wanted to believe her. I really did. I wanted to believe this was love, not need. But my instincts were whispering, be careful. Still, I agreed, because that's what mothers do. Even when we know we're walking into a storm, we hope the storm will soften for us. I baked a cake that night, the way I always did. I dressed slowly the next morning, brushed my hair, put on a little lipstick. My hands were trembling without my permission. And the whole ride to their house, my heart kept repeating one question, a painful, confusing, terrifying question. Why now? Ha ha ha. If only I had known the answer. If only I had known that this invitation wasn't about love at all. It was about access. It was about control. It was about something far bigger than I could imagine. But that truth was waiting for me right behind their front door. And the moment I stepped inside, I felt it. Something wasn't right at all. Do you know that strange moment when someone smiles at you a little too sweetly and your stomach suddenly whispers, something is wrong? That's exactly what I felt the second I stepped into their house that day. The air felt heavier than usual, like the walls were holding their breath, and my heart gave a soft, trembling beat. I stood there holding my homemade cake, smiling politely, but the smile on my daughter's face, it wasn't warm, it wasn't happy, it wasn't loving. It was the kind of smile people wear when they need something from you, not when they've missed you. Sigh. She came forward with arms open like she was acting in a play, hugging me with a soft, "Mom." That felt too light, too empty. Behind her, my daughter-in-law was already watching me carefully, not lovingly, not kindly, but the way people watch a locked box when they think they're about to find the key. Her smile was wide, almost too wide, ha ha ha, not the good kind of laugh, but the kind that hides a plan. And that's when I felt it. My stomach dropped a little. Something was happening, something I couldn't see yet. The house was too clean, too quiet. No birthday decorations, no kids laughing, no balloons, no smell of food in the kitchen. Just silence. A strange, tight silence that wrapped around me like cold air. My daughter walked me to the dining table, speaking softly, like she was trying not to wake up some sleeping truth. "Mom, we're so glad you came," she said, but her eyes were telling a different story. My daughter-in-law sat across from me, tapping her fingers on the table, smiling like she had already won a game I didn't know we were playing. And then she said it. "We thought it's time we talk about arrangements." Arrangements? My heart made a tiny jump. Thump. Arrangements for what? I asked gently, but inside I felt a soft trembling fear. She looked at me with that same sugar-sweet voice she used when she was pretending to be kind. "You know, your future." "My future, my future." Oh, what a word. What a dangerous word in the wrong hands. My daughter added quickly, "Mom, we just worry about you. You're getting older." We want to prepare everything properly. The word scratched something inside me. I had lived my whole life taking care of them, cooking for them, raising their kids, giving them money, helping them, loving them. And now, suddenly, my future was their concern? Ha ha ha, oh life. What a funny little liar you can be. My daughter-in-law slid a stack of papers across the table toward me. Smooth, slow, almost rehearsed. "Just some simple forms," she said. "Standard things, health updates, small permissions, nothing big." My fingers hesitated near the papers, inches away, and a sudden cold rush wrapped around my chest. Something isn't right. My daughter kept talking softly. Mom, you trust us, right? We only want to help. But her eyes weren't soft. They were nervous, sharp, watching me too closely, like she was waiting for me to pick up the pen. My daughter-in-law crossed her legs and leaned back with a tiny smirk that she tried to hide. But I saw it. Oh, I saw it so clearly, and it hit me like a punch. They weren't worried about my future. They were worried about their future, their money, their access, their control. I looked at the papers, thick, stapled, with complicated words. Not simple forms at all, not even close. My heartbeat picked up, my throat felt dry. My hands began to tremble slightly. Not out of fear, but out of the shock of realizing this moment wasn't love, it was calculation. My own daughter-in-law, who once hugged me and called me Mom, now staring as if I was a key to something they wanted to unlock. I pushed the papers back slightly. I'll take these home, I said gently, trying to keep my voice calm. I'll read them later. My daughter froze. My daughter-in-law's smile twitched. A quick flash of panic crossed their faces, barely visible, but oh, I saw it. They weren't expecting me to say no. They expected the same old me, the one who trusted too easily, loved too deeply, signed without thinking. But I wasn't that woman anymore, not inside, not after the words, "You are last," were burned into my heart like a scar. The silence in the room grew thicker. My daughter's voice started shaking. Mom, you should just sign now. It's easier. Easier. I took a deep breath, sigh, and stood up slowly. I said, I'll take them home. Their eyes flickered, fear showing through like cracks in a wall. And in that moment, that moment, I understood everything. They didn't invite me for family. They didn't invite me because they missed me. They didn't invite me to reconnect. They invited me because they needed my signature, my access, my compliance. Ha ha ha. And they thought they could trick me like a child. I held my purse close and walked toward the door. My daughter-in-law stood up quickly, almost too quickly, her voice suddenly sharp beneath the fake sweetness. You don't understand how important this is. I stopped, turned, and in the softest voice I could manage, a trembling one, I said, Oh, I understand more than you think. I left the house with the papers in my hand, the air outside feeling colder than before, my heart beating faster, my mind racing. I walked to my old car and sat there for a moment, staring at the papers on my lap, and then a wave of realization swept over me, a soft, painful, heartbreaking wave. My own daughter, my daughter-in-law. They were no longer looking at me like family. They were looking at me like a door they needed to open. And those papers, those weren't health updates. Those were chains waiting to lock around me. I started to breathe harder, almost weeping from the shock, from the betrayal, from the fear, when suddenly a thought hit me, a name, a memory. A person I hadn't spoken to in years, but someone who might know exactly what these papers really were. And right then, sitting in that car with my hands shaking, I knew I had to call her, because these papers were more dangerous than I realized. Have you ever signed something because someone you love told you, it's nothing, just routine, and later your heart whispered, oh no, something is wrong? That whisper was screaming inside me the moment I sat in my car holding those heavy papers in my lap. The pages felt colder than my hand, and my hands were shaking so much that the paper made a tiny rustling sound. Tremble, tremble, like it was scared too. I let out a long sigh, the kind that comes when your mind is too tired to pretend everything is fine. Oh, I wanted to cry. I wanted to believe my daughter would never trick me, but the truth was already sitting heavy on my chest. My eyes landed on a page with long, confusing words, and then I saw a sentence that made my heart drop like a stone. Something about permissions, something about access, something about decisions. Decisions about me, about my life, about my future. Ha ha ha, my daughter said this was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was everything. I leaned back in the seat and closed my eyes for a moment. My breath felt shaky, almost like soft weeping without tears. I said softly, I need help. I need someone who will tell me the truth. And then her name came to me, like a small light flickering inside my memory. A woman I once trusted deeply, a woman who had helped me years ago during one of the hardest times of my life, my old neighbor, my old friend, a retired lawyer who used to say, "Bring me papers, I'll bring you truth." It had been so long since we spoke, but in that moment she was the only person my heart trusted. So with trembling fingers I dialed her number. Ring, ring, ring. I almost hung up, thinking she wouldn't answer after so many years. But then her voice came through, warm, strong, the kind of voice that makes you feel safe. "Hello? This is Lena." Oh, my eyes filled with tears instantly, and I whispered, "Lena, it's me." There was a pause, then a surprised gasp, then the soft sound of joy. "Oh, my goodness, sweetheart, where have you been?" My voice cracked as I said, "I need to see you. Today." She didn't ask why. She didn't demand explanations. She simply said, "Come right now." I drove to her house with my heart pounding, each beat louder than the one before. When she opened the door, she hugged me so tight I almost wept in her arms. She pulled back, held my face gently, and said, "Sit, tell me everything from the beginning." I told her about the strange invitation, the fake smiles, the empty house, the sudden arrangements, the stack of papers, and the cold feeling in my stomach. I spoke in a trembling voice, my hands twisting in my lap. Sometimes I laughed nervously. Ha ha ha, because the pain was too sharp. Sometimes my voice broke into soft weeping when I remembered how my daughter's eyes looked at me like I was not a person, but a problem to solve. Lena listened without interrupting, her face calm, but her eyes sharp, studying every detail. When I finally handed her the papers, she put on her glasses and said, "Let's see what they're hiding." She flipped through the pages slowly at first, then faster, then suddenly she froze. Her jaw tightened, her eyebrows pulled together, and she whispered, "Oh, no! Oh, no, no!" My breath caught. My heart thumped. "What is it?" She tapped a page with her finger, her voice low and serious. "These are not health updates. These are legal permissions." My skin went cold. "Permissions for what?" She looked at me with a sadness that made my stomach drop. "For them to make decisions, not just about your health, but about your money, your assets, your life choices." Notch. My hands covered my face as I said, "Oh, no, my own child? Why would she do this to me?" Lena placed her hand on mine gently. "Because she thinks you won't notice. Because she thinks you're alone. Because she thinks you'll sign anything out of love." I let out a shaky sigh. She said it was nothing. Lena shook her head. "This is everything. And there's more." She pointed to another page, her voice trembling with anger now. This is the step before gaining full control over all your accounts." My breath stopped, completely stopped. "Control? Over everything?" "Yes," she said. "And once you sign this, sweetheart, they can move money. They can sell things. They can make decisions about where you live. They can do anything." My heart broke into a soft, painful weeping sound. Not loud, just quiet tears rolling down my cheeks. I gave her everything, her whole life. Lena squeezed my hand harder. "People who want more will always forget what they already got." I stared at the papers, my mind trying to understand how my own daughter, my baby, could stand there smiling while pushing me into a trap. Lena took a deep breath, her voice turning firm like steel. "Listen to me. You're not signing this. You're not giving them 1 inch of control. We will fix this." "How?" I whispered, still trembling. "First," she said, You need to understand something important. She leaned in, lowering her voice. Your husband had much more money than you think. My chest tightened. What do you mean? And the inheritance, the real inheritance, is huge, very huge. My mouth fell open. How huge? She said quietly. 77 million huge. My entire world tilted. My breath came out shaky. Oh my God. Lena nodded slowly, and they know it. That's why they want control. They want to decide what happens before the wheel is read. My heart dropped into my stomach. They want to decide what happens before the wheel is read. My hands began shaking again. So this isn't about helping me? Lena shook her head. No, this is about making sure you have no power when that will is opened. A cold wave ran over me, head to toe. Lena, what do I do? She held my hands firmly and said, we fight back. But first, we have to see exactly what they were trying to take from you. And as she turned the next page, her eyes widened, her mouth dropped open, her breath caught. Sweetheart, you're not going to believe what they already tried to do. Have you ever had someone look at a piece of paper, then suddenly their whole face changes, like their heart drops before their mouth can say anything? That's exactly what happened when Lena turned that next page. Her eyes widened so fast that my stomach clenched, and she let out a shaky, oh no. I felt a cold wave roll through me from head to toe. Oh, I whispered, Lena? Tell me. My voice was trembling like a thin glass ready to break. She pressed her lips together, her eyebrows pulled tight, and she gently rotated the paper toward me. Sweetheart, they already tried to register something in your name. My breath caught. I felt my heart thump painfully in my chest. Thump, thump, and a tiny sound escaped me, the kind of small cry you let out before the real cry comes. What? What did they register? I whispered. She pointed at the line. My eyes scanned it slowly, each word feeling heavier. Future care authorization. Preliminary permission request. I blinked. My fingers shook. What is this? She took a deep breath, sigh, and said softly, this is the paper someone files when they want to prepare to take full control of your living decisions. They started the process to decide where you live, who manages your life, who controls your money, everything. I stared at the page. My throat closed. My hands trembled so hard the paper fluttered like a frightened bird. Oh my God, they were planning something. Behind my back? Without me? My voice cracked into soft weeping, the sound small but full of pain. Lena squeezed my hand tightly. Yes. They weren't just planning to take your money. They were preparing to take your independence. Something inside me broke. A deep ache tore through my chest, and I whispered, my daughter, my own daughter. Lena's eyes softened, but her voice stayed steady like a calm ocean before a storm. Sweetheart, people do terrible things when they think they're entitled. They forget love. They forget loyalty. They forget kindness. I wiped my cheeks with the back of my hand, my breath shaking. Why, suddenly, Lena sighed slowly, her voice becoming serious. Because of the inheritance. My heart jolted again. The 77 million? Yes, and I found something else, something bigger. I leaned forward, terrified, but needing to know. She opened another envelope, this one much older, the paper yellowing, the handwriting familiar. Seeing his writing again made my chest tighten. What is that? I whispered. Lena said softly, this is a letter he left with his lawyer years ago, a special instruction, something he wrote because he suspected this would happen. I almost fell off my chair. My hands flew to my mouth. He suspected? Yes. She nodded slowly. Your husband wrote that if anything ever happened to him, the will must be read differently, with extra care, with witnesses, with protections. Tears rolled down my cheeks. Lena, why didn't I know? She squeezed my arm. Because he asked for it to stay hidden until certain things happened. My voice trembled. What things? Lena picked up the paper with 2 fingers and tapped a specific line. If he ever felt that your daughter or her husband would try to pressure you, manipulate you, or use you for financial gain. I gasped. A deep, broken, painful gasp. My husband, he knew. He saw something I didn't. He tried to warn me. He tried to protect me even after death. Oh, I covered my face and wept softly, whispering, why didn't I listen? Why didn't I see it? Lena gently rubbed my back. You're a mother. You see love before danger. It's normal. I took a shaky breath. So the will go through a different process? She nodded. Yes, and that's why your daughter-in-law is rushing. She wants everything under her control before the will is opened. Because once that will is read, everything changes. Changes how? I said, wiping my cheeks. Lena leaned closer, lowering her voice. Your husband protected you, protected everything. He put conditions. He created safety nets. He didn't let anyone take anything from you. My eyes filled again. Lena, I didn't even know he did all this. She nodded, smiling softly. That man loved you more than you realize. I let out a shaky laughter, mixed with tears. He always said he'd take care of me. I just didn't think it would be like this. Lena's face suddenly grew serious. But, sweetheart, there's something else, something much darker. My heart skipped. What do you mean? She pulled out another paper, a printed email. This is from a nursing facility. I blinked fast. Why would they contact a nursing facility? Lena swallowed hard. Because these papers? They're step 1. Step 2 is placing you in a care home so they can legally claim you're unable to make decisions. And sweetheart? She hesitated. My breath stopped. What, Lena? Tell me, she whispered. Your daughter-in-law already emailed them asking about the process for declaring someone mentally unfit. I felt the world tilt. My knees went weak even though I was sitting. A tiny cry escaped me, a broken awe, and I pressed my chest with one hand, feeling it ache. She wants to lock me away? I whispered, voice shaking. She wants control, Lena said gently but firmly. $77 million is a lot of money. Some people will throw away every relationship to get it. My heart hurt so much I almost couldn't breathe. My own daughter's face flashed in my mind. The child I raised, the little girl I held, the woman I gave everything to. I whispered, I can't believe it. I can't. Lena held both my hands, strong and warm. Sweetheart, listen to me. You are not alone, and you are not helpless. We will stop this. We will undo everything they tried to do, but we must move fast. My breath came shaky and soft. What do I do? Lena looked straight into my eyes with a fierce determination. First, we revoke every access they have to you, every legal door, every financial door, everything. My heart thumped hard. And then? She leaned closer, her voice steady and cold. Then we prepare for the will reading. Because, sweet girl, once that will is opened, they'll realize they were never meant to control you. I swallowed hard, hearing my heartbeat in my ears. And deep inside me, something whispered that the truth coming next would change everything. Have you ever felt your phone become the scariest object in your home? Like every ring carries danger, every vibration feels like a warning from life itself? That's how it felt in the days after Lena showed me the truth. My phone suddenly felt heavier in my pocket, almost buzzing with fear, and every time it lit up, my heart jumped with a sharp, trembling feeling. People who want control never stay silent for long, and oh, they didn't. The first call came early morning. My daughter's name flashed across the screen, and I froze, the air leaving my chest in a sigh. My hand shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. I didn't answer at first. I just stared at it, feeling my heartbeat in my throat. Thump, thump, like a warning. Her voice started soft. "Mom, please, call me. I'm worried." Her tone sounded gentle, but too gentle, like someone pretending to cry without any tears. Then the messages got longer, more dramatic, more emotional, using every trick she thought would work. "Mom, I don't understand what's happening. You're scaring me." "Mom, please, this is not you. Someone is confusing you." "Mom, I need you." "The kids need you. Please call me back." Oh, each message tugged at my heart, pulling on the old strings of guilt and love that mothers carry forever. But Lena's voice stayed in my mind. "Do not answer. They're not calling out of love. They're calling out of fear." And she was right, because by afternoon the tone changed completely. The sweetness vanished like a mask falling off. My daughter's voice came hard and sharp. "Why are you avoiding us? Mom, you need to stop this. Right now. We're your family. You can't do something so stupid." My breath shook. My chest tightened. But I didn't respond. I couldn't. I wasn't strong enough to speak yet. And then the silence came, the scary kind, the kind that tells you someone is planning something. The next morning, there was a loud knock at my door. Bang, 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 and my heart almost jumped out of my chest. I peeked through the peephole. My daughter. She was pacing, running her hands through her hair, her breath coming out fast like she had run a marathon. "Mom, open the door. We need to talk," she yelled. I stepped back slowly, shaking, my breath trembling, whispering to myself, "Stay quiet, stay quiet." She knocked again, harder this time. "Mom, I know you're inside. I can hear the TV. Open the door." Ah, my eyes filled with tears. I had never hidden from my own child before. Never. It broke me inside. Then her voice cracked. "Mom, please, please don't do this." She was crying, or pretending to. I couldn't tell anymore. And that was the saddest part. I didn't know what was real with her anymore. I stood behind the door, covering my mouth to keep myself silent, tears falling down my cheeks, my heart whispering, "Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why?" Finally, she left. And I let out a long, weak sigh. The silence felt heavy, too heavy. That night, my phone rang again. This time, it was my son-in-law. His voice didn't shake. It didn't cry. It didn't pretend. It came cold, like a knife. "We know what you're doing," he said, "and you need to stop." My hand trembled. "Do you think you can block us out? You think you can make decisions without telling us?" His voice grew harder. "You are not capable of handling things alone." My stomach twisted in anger. The audacity. I didn't respond. I just listened, shaking silently. "If you don't sign those papers, you will regret this. You will lose your family. You will lose everyone." My voice remained silent. He kept talking. "Your daughter is crying. The kids are confused. Do you want to destroy your family?" The guilt hit me like a punch, but Lena's words returned. "If they use guilt, it means they're losing control." He finished with a threat, whispered so cold it made my skin prickle. "You will not win." My hands were trembling so hard I had to press them against my knees. Sigh. It hurt. Everything hurt. The next day, things got worse. A letter came to my door, official looking, stiff paper, bold letters. A warning, a threat dressed as legal concern. They claimed I was being misled. They said I was not mentally stable. They tried to scare me with their own lawyer's words. I sat at my table holding the letter, my breath shaking. Why are they doing this? Why my own child? Soft tears rolled down my face. Not loud sobbing, just quiet, tired weeping. The kind that feels like your heart is leaking. I called Lena immediately. She answered on the first ring. I knew they'd try this tactic. Ignore it. They're panicking. I know, she said gently, but you must stay strong. You are winning. That's why they're acting like this. The next day, everything went silent again. No calls, no knocks, just stillness. And stillness is dangerous with people like them. It always means plotting. And oh, they were plotting, because the calm broke with another knock. Not my daughter this time. A delivery man. An envelope. Not my daughter this time. A formal notice. A summons for the will reading. The moment I saw the lawyer's seal, my heart dropped, but not from fear, from a strange mix of dread and hope. A shaky laugh slipped out. Ha 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 ha. It's happening. It's finally happening. The day was set. The lawyer wanted everyone present. My hands trembled as I held the envelope. My breath felt thin, weak. Everything was becoming real now. My breath felt thin, weak. Everything was becoming real now. No more hiding. No more pretending. No more guessing. The truth of the inheritance. The 77 million. The protections my husband left, the secrets, all of it was about to come out. And deep inside, a tiny whisper rose inside me. They think they're prepared. They think they've cornered me. They think they've cornered me. They think they know what's coming, but they don't. My heart beat faster, because the will reading wasn't going to go the way they expected at all. Have you ever walked into a room where everyone is smiling, but you can feel deep in your stomach that those smiles are not for you? That's exactly how the will reading day felt, a strange mix of fake warmth and hidden claws. I walked into the lawyer's office with shaky hands, my breath trembling, my heart doing tiny nervous jumps. Thump, 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 as if it knew something big was about to happen. I wished my husband was still alive, standing beside me, holding my hand like he used to. I whispered inside my chest, "Stay with me," and took a deep breath. When I opened the door, my daughter-in-law was already there, sitting too straight, too proud, dressed like she was attending a celebration instead of a reading of death. And oh, that smile, ha ha ha, not the sweet kind, the kind someone wears when they already think they've won. My daughter sat next to her, eyes pretending to be sad, but her fingers twitched with excitement like a child waiting to open a gift. My son-in-law had his arm around her chair, lips curled into a confident smirk. The moment he saw me, he whispered something into my daughter's ear, and she nodded quickly. A quick, guilty nod. They thought the 77 million was already theirs. They thought today was the day life would hand them everything on a silver platter. Poor things. They had no idea what was coming. The lawyer entered the room slowly, a tall man with calm eyes and a briefcase that looked older than all of us. He sat, cleared his throat, adjusted his glasses, and for a moment the room went silent, heavy, thick. My daughter-in-law leaned forward like she was watching her favorite drama show. My daughter grabbed her hand under the table for comfort, but I could see the excitement in both their eyes. The lawyer opened the folder. Pages rustled softly, and then he paused. He looked up slowly, almost dramatically, and scanned the room. His gaze landed on my daughter-in-law, and something flickered in his eyes. Not anger, not sadness, something like amusement. He looked like a man holding a secret so big it was making him smile from the inside. Then he looked at me. His expression softened, warm, respectful. He nodded slightly as if to say, "Brace yourself, dear." I swallowed hard, my voice trembling in my chest. The lawyer finally spoke. "Before we begin, I must inform everyone that Mr. Parker, my husband, left strict instructions about how this will is to be read." My daughter-in-law sighed loudly, as if annoyed. "Can we skip the unnecessary things? We're in a hurry." The lawyer raised one eyebrow and chuckled. He actually chuckled, not a loud laugh, just a soft, knowing that instantly made my daughter-in-law sit up straighter. Then he read the first line of the will. To my beloved wife I leave the authority to decide everything. My daughter's smile froze. My daughter-in-law blinked rapidly. My son-in-law's face tightened. I sat still, stunned, my breath stopping for a second. "Oh," my heart filling with a strange warmth. The lawyer continued calmly, "My wife will remain the sole controller of our assets, properties, companies, and funds until the end of her life." My daughter-in-law let out a small, frustrated, "What?" My daughter whispered, "This must be a mistake." The lawyer looked up again, and this time he laughed. A real laugh. "Ha, ha, ha. No, no, there's no mistake." He tapped the papers. "Your father made everything crystal clear." My daughter-in-law's face turned red, not from sadness, but from shock. Her hands tightened around her purse as if she wanted to tear something apart. The lawyer kept reading, his voice steady. "My wife is the only person I trust to use this wealth wisely." I felt my throat tighten with emotion. A small, trembling sigh escaped me. "Oh, you sweet man," I whispered in my heart. Then the lawyer read the part that made the entire room freeze. "If any family member attempts to force her, manipulate her, or pressure her before the will is read, they are automatically removed as beneficiaries." Complete silence. A silence so sharp I could hear my daughter's teeth clench. My daughter-in-law's chest rose and fell quickly, her face draining of color. My son-in-law's jaw locked so tight I thought I heard his tooth crack. The lawyer placed the papers down and leaned back with a small smile, a smile that said, "I know exactly what you all tried. Now," he said, folding his hands, "before we go further, I must inform you." He looked straight at my daughter-in-law. "That your attempts to file legal control forms have been recorded, and according to Mr. Parker's instructions, that act alone disqualifies you." My daughter-in-law gasped loudly. "What? That's not fair." My daughter grabbed her arm, panicking. "Mom, calm down." But the lawyer cut her off. "And your involvement," he said, turning to my daughter, "was also reported. I have all the documents." My daughter's eyes filled with tears, not the sad kind, the angry, frustrated kind. She stammered, She doesn't even know how to manage money." The lawyer chuckled again. "Your father believes she did just fine for the 40 years he knew her." My chest warmed. Tears filled my eyes, not from pain this time, but from feeling seen. My daughter-in-law slammed her hand on the table. "So what do W.E. get?" Her voice was trembling with fury. The lawyer flipped one more page. "According to the will, nothing." My daughter-in-law's mouth fell open. My daughter gasped. My son-in-law swore under his breath. The lawyer continued calmly, "Everything goes to Mrs. Parker. And after her passing, to whoever she chooses. Only her." My heart almost burst. I covered my mouth as a soft weeping sound escaped me, tears of relief, of vindication, of love for the man who protected me even from the grave. My daughter-in-law whispered harshly, "This isn't over." The lawyer smiled politely. "Actually, it is." My daughter started crying, not sorrowfully, and in that moment, something inside me stood up tall for the first time in years, because they expected to walk out rich, but instead they walked out empty-handed. And yet the biggest twist was still waiting around the corner, a twist none of them, not even I, saw coming. Have you ever felt your whole life shift in one single moment, like the ground under your feet suddenly stopped shaking and become solid again? That's what I felt the second the lawyer ended the reading. A strange warmth filled my chest, a soft, trembling relief, like the sun finally touching a place that had been cold for too long. I wanted to put my hand on my heart and whisper thank you to my husband for protecting me even from the grave. But while my heart steadied, the room around me did the opposite. My daughter-in-law's face twisted with disbelief, her mouth opening and closing like she was searching for a breath that wouldn't come. My daughter stared blankly at the table, tears dripping silently, not from sadness, but from humiliation. My son-in-law leaned back in his chair with a heavy sigh, rubbing his forehead like his whole plan had fallen apart, because it had. The lawyer calmly stacked the papers, humming softly, almost amused. Ha ha ha, as if he had watched this exact scene play out many times in his career. He finally looked at them and said, "Greed blinds people. Loyalty protects them. Your father knew the difference." My daughter-in-law scoffed loudly, grabbed her purse, and stormed out of the room with sharp heels clacking on the floor. My daughter followed slowly, her shoulders shaking, not turning back to look at me even once. My son-in-law stopped at the door, glared at me, and said under his breath, "You'll regret this." I didn't reply. I couldn't. I just sat there with my hands trembling gently, my breathing uneven. Sigh, trying to hold in the mix of relief, shock, pain, and sadness swirling inside me. The lawyer walked up, rested a gentle hand on my shoulder, and said warmly, "Your husband trusted you completely. Now it's time for you to trust yourself." Oh, that small sentence hit me deeper than he knew. I smiled weakly, wiping my wet eyes, and whispered, "Thank you." That night, when I finally returned to my little apartment, I sat on my bed and stared at the wall for a long time. The silence felt different, not heavy, not lonely, calm, safe. Like my heart finally had space to breathe. I whispered to myself, "It's over, it's finally over," but a tiny voice inside me replied, "Not yet." And oh, that voice was right. Because the next morning, just as I was pouring myself a cup of tea, I heard a small knock on the door. Not loud, not angry, not forceful. A gentle knock. Tap, tap, tap. I placed the cup down slowly. My stomach tap, tap. I placed the cup down slowly, my stomach tightening with worry. My hands trembled a little as I opened the door, and when I saw who stood there, my breath escaped my chest in a soft gasp. Oh, it was my granddaughter, not the little girl I used to tuck into bed, but a growing young teenager with sadness in her eyes and a trembling lip. Before I could speak, she rushed forward and hugged me tight, so tight it knocked the air out of my lungs. "Grandma," she whispered, voice cracking, "Mom said you don't want to see us anymore. Is that true?" My heart shattered, completely, painfully shattered. I held her tighter, my voice trembling. "No, sweetheart, no, never. I love you so much." She started crying into my shoulder, soft little sobs that made my chest ache. "I thought you were gone forever. I thought you didn't want me." "Ah, no, no, baby," I whispered, stroking her hair, weeping softly myself. I guided her inside, sat with her on the couch, and for the first time in months, I felt real love in the room. Warm, genuine, honest love. She looked up at me with red eyes and whispered, "I don't care about the money. I just want you." That was the moment my heart cracked open again, but this time from love, not pain. I hugged her tight, whispering, "You will always have me, always." We sat together for a long time, hands held, hearts calm. But as much as I wanted to keep her close, I also knew something important. She was still a child, and children don't choose their own paths yet. Before she left, she hugged me again and said, "When I'm older, I'll come live with you." I laughed softly through tears and kissed her forehead. "I'll be waiting." After she left, I sank into the couch, overwhelmed. Then something inside me whispered, "You survived the storm. Now build the sunshine." I stood up slowly, walked to the window, and watched the sky. For the first time in years, the future didn't feel scary. It felt open, bright. She answered cheerfully, "How did it go?" My voice came out soft but full of new strength. He protected me. He really protected me. She let out a happy sigh. Then it's time for the next chapter. I looked around my tiny apartment, the peeling paint, the creaky floor, the flickering street lights outside, and I felt something shift inside me, a new beginning calling, a fresh life waiting, a fresh life waiting, a fresh life waiting. Lena, I whispered with a small, trembling smile, I think I want to move. Somewhere quiet, somewhere peaceful, somewhere near the ocean. Lena laughed softly. Then let's find your new home. Ah, my chest filled with warmth, and for the first time in a long time, I took a deep breath without shaking. The past had finally released me. The fear had finally left me. The fear had finally left me. And the future finally belonged to me. But destiny wasn't done with me yet, because the next chapter of my story was waiting right around the corner, ready to begin. If this story touched you, even a little, leave a comment, my dear, and remember, you deserve peace, love, and respect. Take care of your heart. I'll see you in the next story.